Donald Trump, que ya ha empezado a hablar.
What can I say? We have it was an outstanding group of decisions. I think that was made. A lot of decisions were made. There wasn't too much left out there. We've come to conclusion on many very important points, and we'll be handing that in a little while. A lot of different things. Many of them very important. We're in agreement on so many elements, large amounts,
en el audio de Donald Trump en este entorno con el ruido que nos está marcando el Air Force One. Vamos a ver si mejora la Casa Blanca el sonido. 6 de la mañana estamos teniendo problemas, ya nos están escuchando, donde solo se oye el sonido del avión. Vamos a cambiarles en directo a ver otros subtítulos para poder irnos rápido a escuchar las palabras de Donald Trump. Eso sí, las vamos a ver en inglés porque es como nos las están sirviendo, y enseguida intentamos luego volver a verlas en español. Tenemos tiempo, nos queda todavía por delante. Pero vamos a escucharlas en inglés mejor, que son como podemos estar escuchándolas, porque han visto que el sonido del avión hace prácticamente imposible escuchar las palabras de un Donald Trump que ha dicho que están en el camino del acuerdo. We are in an agreement. Mira el movimiento del mercado. Ha dicho Donald Trump que está en camino del acuerdo y el mercado está en positivo 0,22%. Vámonos al directo otra vez de Donald Trump, a ver si podemos, aunque sea en inglés, ver, porque Donald Trump acaba de decir que está en el camino del acuerdo.
But again, it's complex because of what fentanyl is, what the precursors do. So I think you're going to see a big difference. We've had discussions on many of the elements that you're talking about all the time. You're asking me questions, and most of those things were I think agreed to for the most part. I think we agreed to almost everything in a very acceptable form. I wouldn't say everything was discussed because there were things that probably...
Están escuchando a Donald Trump en el Air Force One. Hay acuerdo y el mercado lo celebra, 0,20% arriba. Menuda volatilidad en los últimos minutos. Donald Trump diciéndolo, sí, hay acuerdo en la mayoría de los puntos a tratar.
About taking chips. Look, we make great chips. NVIDIA is the leader. And I'll be speaking to Jensen from NVIDIA, but they're going to be discussing that with NVIDIA to see whether or not they can do. I said that's really between you and NVIDIA, but we're sort of the arbitrator or the referee. It's a little rough up here. The skies are a little rough.
And just to clarify, sir, that is the downgraded Blackwell chips. You would authorize those to be exported?
No, not the Blackwell. We're not talking about the Blackwell. That just came out yesterday. But a lot of chips, a lot of the chips, and that's good for us.
Acaba de decir una noticia que va a cotizar Nvidia, que podría levantar la posibilidad de que Blackwell, el chip de Nvidia principal, se exporte a China. Estaba diciendo Nvidia, su CEO, durante las últimas horas que no entendía que fuera mejor que llegara en el mercado negro que por la vía natural del comercio. Y Trump abre la puerta a quitar, a levantar esa posibilidad, a poner la posibilidad de que se puedan volver a vender. Por ahora todo bien. Tierras raras. Vamos a escucharle.
Well, I think pretty soon we have not too many major stumbling blocks. We have a deal. Now every year we'll renegotiate the deal, but I think the deal will go on for a long time, long beyond the year. We'll negotiate at the end of the year, but all of the rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world. I mean, worldwide.
Más subida del mercado. Está diciendo que las tierras raras, el acuerdo alrededor de la restricción de las tierras raras está resuelto. Y ojo, un pequeño detalle. Ha dicho que el acuerdo se va a negociar o renegociar año a año. De tal manera que Estados Unidos va a estar un poco, bueno, ante la percepción de que en cualquier año China le corta las tierras raras y todo lo demás. Pero acaba de decir que va a desaparecer el obstáculo de las tierras raras. ¿Lo ven ahí en pantalla?
I think be very routinely extended as time goes by.
To be totally clear, they're not going to impose the rare earth controls that they proposed. President Trump and President Xi came to an understanding of that.
What will your new tariff rate on China's goods be once you sign the deal?
Other than what we, the tariffs remain exactly the same.
55%.
It's about, it was 57, now it's 47.
And how long?
Because we reduced it by the fentanyl, because I believe they are really taking strong action. We've already seen the action on fentanyl, and they're taking very strong action. So we reduced to 10%.
So that November date is gone when it was going to go up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. So
that's all.
On fentanyl, they've agreed there are a variety of precursors. You may recall that actual fentanyl was scheduled by China in the president's first term successfully. There are certain precursors where they take whatever actions they need to control that. If they can control rare earths, we know they can control the precursors, and President Xi, I think, was very strong in saying he was going to enforce those laws internally, and of course we'll watch that, and we'll
He's
work
going to be very strong in enforcing the fentanyl, everything having to do with fentanyl and regulations internally, including taking very strong measures against those that don't obey.
And a variety of other tariffs still remain. Section 301 tariffs from the original, a variety of Section 232 tariffs. Some of these tariffs are, as the President mentioned, around 40%. For some individual products, it may go up to 100%, but as a general matter, it's about 45, 47%.
So, sir, it sounds like you might be going to China then after the successful meeting.
That's another thing we agreed. I'll be going to China in April, and he'll be coming here sometime after that, whether it's in Florida, Palm Beach, or Washington, D.C.
Did you agree to anything on the shipping fees, the 301 shipping investigation?
Well, that's been
So we're going to postpone that while we negotiate with them about that issue. We're trying to rebuild shipbuilding. The Koreans just agreed to invest $150 billion in shipbuilding, so we think we have a good path forward.
But that's no longer an issue.
Did the war in Ukraine or Taiwan come up?
We discussed that, and we discussed basically these are rough winds in Asia. I must tell you, this is a rough flight. We could have waited an hour, maybe. These are a little tough. These are tough conditions for interviews. You know, they're going to be watching Trump. They're going to say he didn't look too good. He's got the shakes. I don't have the shakes, but people are going to think I do.
You're pretty solid.
So Ukraine, it came up?
Yeah, it did come up. Ukraine came up very strongly. We talked about it for a long time, and we're both going to work together to see if we can get something done. We agree the sides are, you know, locked in and fighting, and sometimes you have to let them fight, I guess. Crazy. But he's going to help us, and we're going to work together on Ukraine. There's not a lot more we can do. The oil, you know, he's been buying oil from Russia for a long time. It takes care of a big part of China. And, you know, I can say India's been very good on that front. But we didn't really discuss the oil. We discussed working together to see if we could get that war finished. You know, it doesn't affect China. It doesn't affect us. And I'd like to see it done on the basis, I don't like to see 6, 7, 8,000 young people, mostly young people, for the most part soldiers, be killed. It's not costing us anything. In fact, we make money, and I don't even want to talk about making money. I don't care about making money in that case. But, you know, we send weapons to NATO. They buy full price. They buy the weapons. They give them to whoever, but I think they give them probably to Ukraine for the most part. And we discussed all that. We're going to work together to try and get the war with Russia and Ukraine solved.
What about the Taiwan issue, sir?
It never came up. Taiwan never came up. It was not discussed, actually.
What else didn't come up that you thought might come up? You had mentioned you didn't get to everything.
You know, I mean, we had a long meeting, as you know, but a lot of things we discussed in great detail. A lot of things we brought to finalization. A lot of finalization.
No surprise.
I thought it was a great meeting. I think it was a very friendly meeting. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries. And that's the way we should get along with large, powerful.
Why did you write your Truth Social about nuclear testing? What about resuming nuclear testing? What prompted you to do that right before the meeting?
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing.
Russia?
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. You know, we've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Any details around the testing, sir? Like where, when?
It'll be announced. You know, we have test sites. It'll be announced.
Did Israel give you a heads up before they bombed Gaza? And is it still a ceasefire if they're stopping?
Ceasefire. It is. No, they had a sniper, and one of their soldiers were killed, and they did retribution. So we'll see. But yeah, it is a ceasefire. It's back to ceasefire.
But is that
What is the thinking behind reducing troops in Romania, the drawdown of U.S. troops in Romania?
You'd have to ask. I mean, I could tell you about it, but it's not very significant. It's not a big deal.
On nuclear weapons, sir, which countries do you have in mind when you say you want to send a signal?
What a rough ride this is. The interviews are tough enough without your life being threatened. You guys okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That camera guy's very steady. We're going to look real bad today on television, I'll tell you. I think that, it's pretty much, I think we've discussed mostly what we said, pretty comprehensive. We're going to issue a statement on some of the details. But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12. I think very importantly, just the whole relationship is very, very important, and I think it was really good.
And especially coming on the heels of the successful trip. We're in Malaysia. You signed a peace